So many games, so little time. From the recent State of Play announcements to, well, just everything brilliant coming out right now, we're about to get very excited about all of it in today's episode of the PlayStation Access Podcast. Hello and welcome to the PlayStation Access Podcast, the official podcast of PlayStation UK. I am your host, Rob Pearson. We are joined today by Rosie Caddick.
Hello, everyone.
And David Jackson.
Hello. Well, it was a slight hint of sadness as you said that. And sadly, not Charles Cecil.
No,
David Jackson.
Charles has left us.
He left us.
The memory of Charles burns bright.
It will live long in the memory.
He sat here in my seat.
He did.
In the last episode.
He did.
He's better than me.
He's better than all of us, Rosie.
Better than all of us.
That's what we learned that day.
But today, I thought we would take the opportunity to discuss, this is going to be a curveball, some video games.
Oh, really?
On the PlayStation Access podcast, because there have been, we've had the recent State of Play where lots of exciting video games were either announced or more was learned about them.
Yep.
And also, I think we've all been playing some rather interesting video games of late.
I think so.
So I think it's a good opportunity to just catch up on where we are at with all of those. And there's a fun little quiz to finish things off.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Surprise quiz.
There's always a quiz. It's fun being the quiz master. There's no pressure. I've just got everything written down. The pressure's all on you two.
Well, as long as you've got the answers right.
I do.
Because we'll tell you if you haven't.
I
will tell you.
I have got them right.
Okay. We'll see.
So let's start things off with the State of Play because, the big obvious one is Ghost of Yōtei.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Word, it looks beautiful.
It looks so good.
It looks unbelievably good. I mean, I was rewatching the trailer before we started recording, and I couldn't think of a more cinematic game than Ghost of Tsushima, and this looks more cinematic. They've built on everything that was brilliant about Ghost of Tsushima, and the trailer's unbelievable. Yeah, just unbelievably good.
It's up there for me with the trailer we saw last year for. Was it last year? Earlier this year? I can't remember. For Death Stranding 2.
Yeah,
just the environments.
Yeah,
and I can't articulate what this quality is about it, but it's something so PS5-y, so next-gen-y about just the clarity and the detail and I
think the colour palette.
And there's something about the quality of the density of the air in these shots that's just so breathtaking. The vistas we were seeing. There was that shot where you were like galloping through a herd of wild horses, I'm presuming, who were also galloping along with you. And I was just looking at that like, wow, I've not seen a video game do that before. Yeah. I didn't know I wanted that. I do want that.
Then you're galloping towards a temple, and it's that kind of autumnal palette. Yeah. You know, all the trees have turned, and it's like golden grass. I mean, I always think about the opening to Ghost of Tsushima when you first are galloping across that field, and the title comes up.
Oh, that's so good.
And it gave me those vibes. I'm super excited. And then the snow looked amazing. I mean, obviously we're having to talk a lot about the kind of graphical detail because that's a lot of what is in the trailer. And it is arresting. Like, it is just like, wow. Obviously there's black and white again. I'm hoping that might be a mode that we might be able to play. It looked just beautiful, but the snow, the quality of the snow, the depth of it, that sort of crunchiness that snow has when you walk on it, you could see that,
the powderiness.
The detail on I don't know if it was a dog or a wolf as well.
I felt wolfy for me.
It felt wolfy, but I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. I like the bit in the trailer when they looked at each other, like our main protagonist and a wolf, and then they just sort of like hear something to the side, and they both acknowledge that they're like, no, this is more important. Whatever's over here, we will not attack each other. Like right at the end of the trailer. But either way, the details in the wolves, I thought they were beautiful. Like, I don't want to do any harm to these wolves. They look too pretty. Like,
well, I think they do look pretty, Rosie. But I imagine when they decide to do harm to you, you might change. Well,
they
your
mind. They did have like blood coated around their mouths. So
They've just been having dinner.
They've just been having some dinner. Like, we don't know what that dinner is. It could have just been an apple that somehow leaked in its mouth.
Yeah. Oh God. It's one of those blood red apples that leaks.
The dangerous apples. But I loved how they've gone with the more like yellowy color tones in this one, because Ghost of Tsushima was very much had the red, I think. Like in the logo, you had that little essence of red, and here they're very much focusing more on the yellow, which I thought, well, I was like, yes, I'm all here for this, because in Ghost of Tsushima, whenever there was the yellow autumnal areas, I think those were probably the areas I took the pictures of the most. Or even if I was in like a lovely spring area, I always used to find that the yellow petals, you know, when you go in photo mode and you can do the density and what you want in them and stuff, I always found that it was the yellow petals that just kept on coming back. I just love those yellow petals. So I'm very excited to see that they've honed in more on this color scheme this time.
I think autumn is just a beautiful season,
it's the
isn't
best.
I think it's the best
season.
It's my favorite season. It's beautiful, and in a cinematic game, obviously you're gonna make it look as beautiful as you can. But I also, again, with the snow, you get that lovely contrast of the snow and then blood red spattered across it. There's going to be a lot of that in the game. I
mountain
suspect
as well. The mountain looks incredibly impressive.
Oh, that shot when you just see like just the mountain in the background. That looks stunning. I
also, Rob, you pointed this out. I'm glad that it's easier for me to say Yōtei than it is to say Tsushima. So I'm going to be able to talk about Yōtei a lot
without
more.
Getting lots of people in the comments with conflicting opinions about how we should or shouldn't be pronouncing it.
Well, we'll see. I still managed to get it wrong.
I maintain I always pronounce it correctly.
You do.
Tsushima.
You do. I've always been impressed with your pronunciation.
Ghost
I'll be
of
honest.
Tsushima.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it was really interesting. After the end of the first game, I was thinking to myself, where would they go with a sequel? I hope they do a sequel. How will they approach that? And I am immediately on board with the fact that this is set, I think, 300 years on from the events of Ghost of Tsushima. So we've got a entirely new protagonist, a new legend, and I like the idea that the legend of the ghost has just been passed down through the generations, and that a new character is going to be taking up the mantle, and also that we get to explore an entirely new area. I love that.
I think
it's the right way to go.
Legacy is a difficult thing, isn't it? You can in sequels you can tie yourself in knots, I think, sometimes when you have to follow on with the same characters in the same place. It can be and this is I think a much more neat. I agree. Like the fact that there's the legend that has carried on, but we're in a completely new place, completely new timeline. I'm not going to need to worry about characters from the previous game. I would imagine it's I think it's a nice fresh start.
I thought the music in the trailer was really good as well. There was almost like a western twang to it, it's almost like a samurai meets cowboy almost. Obviously, a completely different time and place, but there was something of that quality to the music coming through. And I am very, very excited to explore what is going to be undoubtedly an incredibly beautiful open world. And do some amazing sword fighting.
I'm so excited. When the state of play happened, it was in UK time. It was 11 p.m. So little Rosie was in bed, watching it in bed. But this was
little Rob was in bed as well.
But so when that trailer came on, I know I should have been lying down, but I was fully sat up and got just even closer to the TV. And I think my boyfriend came in and was just like, do you want some water? And I was like, shh, we do not disturb this. we do not disturb what is happening right now.
It was it earned its spot. You always want at the end of the state of play, you always want that. Oh, and one more thing. An amazing game. And I think that this was exactly that. It was, it had already been a really good state of play. I think, obviously we're going to talk about it, but it really was the jewel in the crown. It was like boom.
Well, it was bookended. I like it when a state of play is bookended by two bangers from PlayStation Studios. And it started with Astro Bot, which everyone rightly has still not got enough of. And the speedrunning is back.
There's more coming.
I'm so excited. Did you see those levels?
They look really hard.
They look amazing. It's amazing because when I was playing just Astro Bot, there's that area where you're rescuing, very early on in the game in World 1, where you're rescuing the Jackbot, and you do have that's when it goes 2D, and with the frog punching gloves, you have where you can swing and then the platform swaps and stuff, and I remember doing that, and I was thinking, I really want to speed run just this section. And there is in that trailer, there was a moment where you had the frog punching gloves doing all the swings, and I was like, this is exactly what was up my street. I am so excited.
There was also there's that power up where you can create a little ice slide.
Yes.
And I thought that's going to be intense in a speedrun.
Yeah.
Because that's much more, about exactly where you place them and how quickly you can place them together. How can you chain them? I think that's going to be, we all went mad for the speed run in the first game.
When getting a good time is often so tied to developing a muscle memory for exactly where you should land at certain points and where you can take a little bit of a shortcut, where you can maybe completely miss out one or two platforms and hop over to another one. Having the ability to potentially place your own platforms, it's going to be some intense competition.
There are lots of power-ups in Astro Bot, which I think we're going to see. It will be interesting to see how and where they are used in the speedrun. I think it's going to make it challenging and moreish. And I think we all loved the speedruns in the first game, and I think they're just going to have taken all of that and make them even better. And to be on the leaderboard would be a dream.
Yeah. Are we going to do that thing again where whoever gets like the top score has to share the clip of them
Probably.
Because that was genuinely so much fun. And like you say, when it comes to like the timing of the placement and stuff, I really want to see whoever's got the top time. Like, I want to see how their like run worked with. I'm just doing like a wavy arm, but that's the ice platforms. Like
I
where it is they're being put down.
I wonder whether Ash will send us her, because she was, I think it's fair to say, probably the most determined. I think
she was incredibly determined.
Was the most
It's a very diplomatic way of putting it.
There was one where it was like past midnight, and I remember
I would say.
like
big
past
selfies of her smug face.
But you would be smug.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's why it was so annoying, because it was like, oh, that is impressive.
It was literally waking up to those messages. I was like, well, that's my whole day now. Ruined. I'm going to do this just to beat Ash's time now.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think it just channels the spirit of the symbol challenges that are in Astro Bot that we played through on that live stream a couple of weeks ago. There were sections in that. My approach to those levels is to do them fast, because I feel more capable to do them when I'm sort of operating on an instinctual level. Like if I give myself too much time to think, that's when I muck it up. And so getting into that rhythm, there's one towards the end, I think it's one of the cross ones, the X ones, however you want to say it, where you're sort of like ice skating diagonally across a few screens where you've got like birds coming out at you, and just the timing. I think that I was speaking to Secret Boss about this yesterday. The timing of those birds coming out combined with the speed you're going across the ice is so perfect. So perfect. It feels so nice, so smooth, and you can operate on that. There's just enough time to react always. And
I had that
and that's what I'm hoping that we'll get with the speedruns, that lovely satisfying platforming action.
I had that as well with the circle challenge, where there's one of the swingy spiky ball ones that you can like smash the glass and then they die, but it's like it's in the middle and it's swinging around the circle, and at first when you join it you're like oh laser feet, but then as soon as you get going you just have to do a nice little delicate hop, and it's just a beautiful like little ballet dance of just this chain spiked ball coming around. You're just like pop over that was a good rhythm as well. Love that bit.
Which of the circle challenges, I just want to know the symbol, sorry, not the circle challenges, which of the symbol challenges did you find the hardest? I think mine was square. I remember one of the square ones, I was just like, this one's actually really hard. Was there a family of symbol challenges that you particularly found difficult?
Well, there were 3 ones where I had to pass the pad to Rosie to get her to do them for me.
Were they in different symbols?
They were. I think one was an X one was a square one. One might be the circle one as well. Yeah. There was a circle one where you have to, and I don't know why I found this so hard. I don't think it was supposed to be the hard one. It's one where you had the flower power up, and you've got to like hover over some spiky balls, and then you'd have to go into like a rotating platform and hide inside like a little alcove and wait for just the right time to hop up onto the next platform whilst spiky balls are going around it. For some reason I found that one incredibly difficult to get the timing on.
That's the funny thing. I think it's funny how there'll just be suddenly a thing. We were like, why is this thing tripping me up? I've sailed through that thing, but then this thing, I'm like, it's funny, it's amazing. I love those levels. They're great.
The lava duck one is the one everyone talks about.
Yeah,
I found that very hard as well.
I think that one in itself is the hardest one, but in terms of like a family of challenges, I'd probably say the X ones, because I remember, whereas I was really stumped on the duck one when I first did it, the X one I think had 2 that I was really stumped on, so that's why I think like as a family, that one probably, but it is also the last symbol challenges, so I was expecting, you know, a bit more of a difficulty leap, but I think that's the family.
Yeah.
What else? State of play. Well, I will say a game then.
Yes, please.
So we had Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting the level to which has been remastered to be how... I mean, it just looks amazing. They're bringing it up to the visual fidelity of Horizon Forbidden West, which I still think is one of, you could argue, still up there with the best looking games on PS5.
Yeah.
It's my personal best water graphics ever on PS5. I think water physics and Astro Bot rival it now, just because there's so many moments in Astro Bot where you can tip water up and make it slosh down rooftops and squirt it down pipes and hose down a big giant singing tree with it, and his eyes he's like
I love it so much.
It's the best level.
Oh my goodness.
It's the best. That's my favourite level. It's
Drunk
so
of Funk.
good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, it's a classic.
We've just moved on to Astro Bot again.
Yeah, we can't.
We didn't mention the Stellar Blade and Helldivers bots that were announced.
Yeah, I was going to say,
just quickly slide them back into Astro Bot.
Especially the Helldivers bots, just because I loved the way that they appeared on. Yeah,
I had a full-on laugh.
It was great, and it looked so at home there. I loved those bots. They were great.
They were great.
It's fun when you get that sort of crystallization of these are part of the PlayStation family now. If you're in Astro Bot, you're part of the PlayStation family.
Yeah.
And the Helldivers bots, seeing them, that's quite a very contemporary game. You know, earlier this year, Helldivers 2 came out, and already it feels like, yes, that makes sense. I can see why the Helldivers would be part of Astro Bot's world.
Definitely,
now.
yeah.
And it's like,
they're iconic.
It's just I guess like a crystallization of that.
Yeah.
Icon status.
Yeah, definitely a big part of loving Astro Bot is loving PlayStation, and it is a big warm hug for us all, with all our favourite IPs all there, all getting their moment, and I know what you mean. Like this is a newer IP coming in, and it feels right, and it's like, oh yeah, God, I love PlayStation.
Yeah,
and they all just get on, don't they? And they're all like holding hands, making bridges that you can walk across to get to secret areas, and I love that you can. I love seeing who's holding hands with who.
Yeah.
It's like a wedding when you get like weird combinations of people. Like I remember a friend from work talking to my aunt, who I've not seen for 15 years. This is weird. They're never going to see each other again.
Yeah.
And you get, Solid Snake holding hands with someone from Katamari. It's great. It's
good, yeah.
Anyway, that's Astro Bot. We're still talking about Astro Bot.
Sorry.
Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered I'm very excited about, because I love that game a lot.
Yeah.
And it already was beautiful on PS4, but to think about it, I mean, if they make the water like the Horizon Forbidden West water, then oh my God.
Yeah. It's got a special place in my heart, obviously, as my very first platinum trophy.
Oh, yeah.
And
you're gonna do it again?
Potentially. I mean, it's a really enjoyable platinum. I think really rewarding and a lot of fun. And if I'm really honest, I slightly prefer the story in the first one. It's that. Because it's just revealing the world.
It's the
promise of the franchise.
You get the whole character arc of Aloy, don't you? It's that Batman Begins style thing. Where this is where she came from. These are her origins, and then she just transforms into this world-saving badass by the end.
Yeah, so I think it's a great reason to revisit it. I totally agree about Horizon Forbidden West. It's visually unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it would be great to see some of those iconic sort of locations from Horizon Zero Dawn in that remastered to that degree.
All of those statues and street signs with all the moss and bits
Unless
of
you're thinking of all the ruins
growing on them.
I will never forget just the kind of opening area when you first leave it. Well, this is what happened for me anyway. I first left the first area of Horizon Zero Dawn and just kind of turned around and saw that massive arm, this huge over like mountain-sized robotic arm that was kind of straddling the mountain, and it's just that's not in a cutscene or something. It's not like, have you seen this? It's just there. You like at some point you just notice it, and just being like, what is that?
Yeah.
Am I going to find out about that? That's so unbelievable. You know, like it makes a Thunderjaw look insignificant. It was just like, never mind that. What the hell's that? It's so good. And so I like that kind of thing. I'd love to revisit that.
Other highlights for me from State of Play. I don't know if anyone else is going to be enjoying this one, but Fantasian Neo Dimension.
Hey, yeah!
Look at Dave's puzzled face.
Yeah.
The JRPG from Hironobu Sakaguchi, the father of Final Fantasy, and composer Nobuo Uematsu.
Yes.
The legendary Final Fantasy composer.
That bit got me. I was like, I know this. He's a fantastic composer.
Hey,
he is. And I am very excited that is coming to PS5.
Yes.
This is a game where the backgrounds are physical dioramas that they have created.
It looks stunning.
And you get and they've, you know, like the pre-rendered backgrounds of the PS1 era Final Fantasies, where they'd be digital backdrops and you'd move your characters around. Now you're moving a character around like a physically made diorama that you can explore.
That's cool.
In itself is like, that's cool. I'm excited to explore that, but also just anything that Hironobu Sakaguchi has put his hand to creatively, I'm there.
Yeah.
Like he's gone out, he's carved his own path now, like doing his independent thing. Just give me your games, man. I will play them forever.
There is a level of it's not even about being famous, just a level of he's just achieved enough now, as it's just like whatever he does obviously has to turn heads. You've got to be like, I need to pay attention to this because this guy knows how to make a game. And like I said, teaming up with Uematsu, that's pretty exciting. Like, one of my favourite things about Final Fantasy VII was definitely the music. Yeah. So good.
It's so good.
They're like the JRPG Avengers, those two.
Yeah.
Like, what an exciting thing. There was more. One of the biggest shocks and pleasant surprises for me was the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered announcement, because I used to flipping love Soul Reaver.
See, I've never played it, but I've always wanted to.
So good. So good.
Yes.
I was terrible at it. It was one of those games where as a kid you play it and you just get perpetually stuck at a bit and you never figure out how to get past it. There's like a mystique and an allure to that for me. Like, it lives in my head. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver is this mystical thing that I absolutely loved being in. I loved existing inside the world of it. The music was amazing. The opening cutscene where Kain casts Raziel into like the Lake of the Dead.
Yeah, like after breaking
the music's amazing,
wings,
and he just settles down there for however long it is, decades, rotting away until gradually he's, reanimated and he goes on his quest for revenge.
God.
My God, it's good.
You would want revenge after that.
It's
Kane's
such a cool
line,
premise.
Cast him in. He's got he's a really evil face but very posh voice. I think that Kane's problem is that Raziel evolves wings before Kain himself.
Yeah.
He's very jealous about
not having
this.
that.
So he rips the wings off first of all, and then he just throws Raziel, who's been his most trusted, his right hand man.
Yeah.
Basically throws him into this horrible vortex of acid, and then there's this amazing mechanic whereby you can shift into the spectral realm and you can absorb people's souls, and it's everything about that era of gaming.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, because obviously, as I've said many times, I grew up a lot with PS1 demos when it came to trying games out, and I always remember Legacy of Kain was on the cover of a demo disc, but it wasn't like my colourful Crash Bandicoot or Tumby or Klonoa. It was the edgy game, and I remember even being as a kid am I allowed to play this? Without my parents around?
Yeah.
My dad used to play Nightmare Creatures, but it's okay. I was with my dad, so I was allowed to watch that very gothic horror thing. But me delving into something as quite dark as Legacy of Kain, I was always I don't know if I'm allowed to try this one out. So I didn't actually try it out for the longest time. Well, I mean, I say the longest time, that's ever.
Yeah.
So
That is the longest time.
it is the longest time, so I'm super excited because I've just heard too many fantastic stories about it, and I know I'm going to love it. So when this was announced as a remaster, I just thought the timing is perfect. The timing's just beautiful. Because I've been in the mood for a PS1 revisit. For a while. I had Tomb Raider Remastered. I did the first one, and I'm taking a little bit of a breather, and I'm like, no, I'm ready for, I need my little retro intake here and there.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
they also slipped in very quietly, well, not so quietly, but they slipped it in that Dino Crisis is going to be coming to the PlayStation
They
Plus
did, which I'm very
game
excited
catalog,
about.
the
Oh, wow.
premium tier.
I actually missed that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
brilliant game. I think you'd really like Dino Crisis.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play it, and now that I've got a bit more of a familiarity with Resi, I think I'll enjoy it more.
Do you have
know?
like a familiarity with like classic Resi? Or
Well, no. As in, I've played the Resi 1 remaster, which is probably more like the original than like 2 and 3 are like, and 4 are
Yeah.
like the original 2, 3, and 4. So no, but I feel like I've so not the actual gameplay and the mechanics, but I think just the world and the characters and the sort of humor of it. I don't know if Dino Crisis has that.
it does have some very cheesy
Oh,
moments.
Excellent.
yeah.
It
I
does.
just remember the lines now. I've just been attacked by some kind of dinosaur. That's impossible.
My favourite one is one at the very end, which I don't want to say, for
Yeah.
spoilers since you haven't played it, but there's just one moment where it's fully like, the cheesy action film, like, just one-liner line that the character says about dinosaurs, and it just really made me laugh, but also go, yeah! That kind of vibe as you're against the final boss. It was so good.
Yeah, my girlfriend's dad played Dino Crisis.
Wow.
And I don't think he's played any other game.
Just
But I know
Dino
he
Crisis.
played and finished Dino Crisis.
Wow.
It's like a big deal. It's something and something we haven't been able to bond over because I've never played it. So
But now
maybe
you
we'll play it
can.
together.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
I remember picking it up in W.H. Smith's when I was but a boy and really wanting to play it, but it had the big sort of this was pre-Peggy, and I think it had a BBFC rating.
Yeah, that's right.
A big 15, and I used to find that very exciting.
It is
And I was
exciting.
Like, Dad, can you buy this game for me? And he was like, well, you're only 13, aren't you?
Oh please,
I'll be okay.
Oh, please.
And then the start screen is just get the screen where it says, "Warning: this game contains scenes of graphic gore." And again, it's like, yes, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what horrors lurk within. And it's a great game.
It's a brilliant game.
I can't wait. Another game that was newly announced that I really stole the show for me was Hell Is Us.
Yeah.
Which I thought gave me some Death Stranding vibes. One of those trailers where it hinted enough about the vibe of the game without really giving away anything about what the story is. I'm just in. I'm in for this weird, kind of scary sci-fi action adventure, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I was going to say I got and this is a game I haven't played either, but I got a kind of Control-y vibe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's that weird, exactly that particular brand of weird. I thought it was great. It starts off and it feels like it's talking about a war zone, and you're seeing images of a war zone. There's like a tank and there's lots of dead bodies, and it's the narrator is saying, my dad told me not to go outside, and then he was taken away, and my mum said that monsters aren't real.
I bet they are.
And then it's like, we were both wrong or something, they're in your head. And then you see the first monster, and it's got that big yawning, its head is just a yawning
Yeah. Just a
spasm
hole.
of a mouth.
Just a hole.
And it's weird, rather than scary necessarily or grotesque, it's much more weird than all of that.
Unsettling.
And the fact that they have just said monsters are in your mind, that's where they exist, and you see one. It looks, I love that, the intrigue in that world. What's going on? That's like, I'm really about intrigue. I want to know. So that looked cool. And then the gameplay itself just looked really solid and great. All the different environments. It seems like you're going on a real adventure, but a weird one.
I love a weird adventure.
Yeah.
I love a good ghoul as well. Like, I remember watching it and I was like, oh, look at these monsters. They do look really interesting. And so I'm very excited to fight them in, like, you know, like you said, solid action gameplay fashion, whilst also thinking, this monster looks really cool. I don't actually want to hurt it. Look at my little ghouly friends.
Yeah. There was also, they had like a little computer device as well, which, and a drone. So I thought that was weird because it's like, I've said weird too many times now, but you know, there's a little technological aspect, and I love a little computer device. I just love you know, when they've got like a little thing like the Pip-Boy in Fallout or whatever, and it's got its interface, and it seemed interesting to me that there was much more to it. It seemed to have like character info in it. We only saw it for a fleeting second, so I don't even know if you guys remember, but it added again like that intrigue to like what is going on, because it's this weird mix of like kind of monsters and technology and a war zone, and also maybe you're inside your mind because that's where they said that the monsters exist. I don't know. I'm very up for finding out a lot more about that game and getting my hands on it.
We should move on now to games we are actually playing, as opposed to games we are looking forward to playing.
Yes, definitely.
Because there are a number of really exciting games either just out or about to come out that we've been getting our hands on. Rosie, I want to start with you because you've been playing, and this is very exciting, Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill! Yeah, I've been playing Silent Hill 2. That was meant to be the child in the film. That, like, I haven't seen the film, but all I know is this child just going, Silent Hill! That's the main thing I know. But yes, I've been playing the Silent Hill 2 remake, which has been very exciting. Yeah. I've been fully... I think I mentioned on the podcast before, but every October I've been playing a Silent Hill installment.
I remember.
So last October I played Silent Hill 3, so I should have been playing Silent Hill 4 this October, but no, it's going to Silent Hill 2 Remake, but I'm still treating it in the same way, where it's like, you know... curtains are shut, lights are off.
Oh wow!
We've got like a little light behind the TV, and that's going into like the piercing red.
Oh wow!
Like volume on the TV up a little bit more than usual. Like,
oh my god!
Not to upset the neighbours. So I'm fully being like immersed in the world, and so far I definitely think my favorite things about it are the visuals for it. I think they've really done a good job with the fog, which is a big thing for Silent Hill. Pretty crucial. So like when you're first going into Silent Hill, you know, you're just at the start, you're just exploring the town, having a nice time. But I was really feeling invited to like explore the different shops and see what I could enter, because in the original Silent Hill 2, it's so thick with fog and it's so like chaotic that, you know, you're sort of getting from point A to point B, and you are trying to explore the areas, but it's not always clear how you can get into them or things like that. Whereas in the remake, I don't know what it was. I just like, I looked at a cafe and I thought, oh yes, I'm feeling more invited to explore that area a bit more. And also just, so at time of recording, I've just got into like the apartment building, which is like the sort of first, I'd say, big section of Silent Hill 2, where, you know, you get the map and then you see all those rooms and think, oh, how many of these are locked doors? Like, so I'm exploring the apartment building at the moment, and like, it's, I remember in the original Silent Hill 2 when I first got there and I thought, my god, this is really dark, and then that's when you get the flashlight. So now I've got the flashlight in the remake because I thought the same thing, like, oh, it's good, it's getting really dark now, I really could do with that flashlight. So I'm getting now into the spooky dark atmosphere where you know, there's all sorts of noises and happening. The sound design in the remake I'm really enjoying as well at the moment. Like, even if you're just walking around and you just hear like this sudden like, you know, you've got those outdoor ladder things that are metallic, and then like you're just running up some metallic stairs and then suddenly it's like dang.
Like a fire escape thing.
Yeah, like a fire escape thing. So you hear just sudden noises like that. The music in Silent Hill 2 has always been very atmospheric and spooky, and also weirdly calming as well. So like I'm getting fully invested into just all the sounds of the world. I haven't got into the moments where you actually sort of enter the more iconic Silent Hill moments of, you know, when everything goes hell and it's all cages and blood and everything's mad. So I haven't seen those visuals yet, but from what I've seen from trailers, it looks really beautiful. So already I'm just like, I cannot wait to delve into those areas. And I'm having a really fun time with the puzzles as well, like some things they've introduced to the remake. So I'm having a fun time seeing what new puzzles are coming up and what they have done that's slightly different compared to the original. And I love the mechanic that you can smash windows. Like literally, my James, as soon as he got as soon as he got into Silent Hill, I felt like, you know, the scene in Disney's Pinocchio when all the boys go to the fairground and then they just start causing chaos and breaking things. My James literally has just got into...
They won't come back as boys.
boys. Like, so my James literally has gone into Silent Hill, which has just become this barren sort of spooky place, and he's smashing every single window he can as if he's a rebellious boy in that theme
Rosie,
park.
that's you. You're telling James to do it.
Well, to be fair, so what you can do is you can break like car windows, and they might have an item like a health drink that you can have. So when it comes to car windows, James is just running up and smashing all of them, and it's kind of become a bit of a habit now where I just have to check. So I'm just literally James is running around.
You could tell that to the police.
Smashing car windows.
It's just a habit. I have to check.
But there might be a health drink
there
in
might
there,
be a Huel in there.
You don't understand. And then also, like with the shop windows as well, sometimes you can smash a window and actually climb through it, but other times, even if it's got like the security, you know, fence in the shop, I'm still smashing that window just because I have to. It's just become a habit that I'm just like, pop. So I'm having a really, really good time with it at the moment, and I'm very interested to see how it progresses, and I really want to get to like the spooky parts of it and see how stunning that looks.
I guess Silent Hill 2 must be quite fresh in your mind if you only played it 2 years ago.
Yeah, so literally when I had just finished Silent Hill 2 and then this remake was announced. So
oh wow, that's weird.
The timing
I don't like that, Rosie.
The timing was honestly impeccable. I think it was literally a 2-day gap between when I finished it and when they announced the remake. So I remember watching it and I was like, what? Just because, you know, you're like, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
But then seeing that trailer, because it was so fresh in my mind, I was very much like, this is this part or this is this part. Whereas now it's been a couple of years since I played Silent Hill 2, but things are still very much stuck in my mind. So, you know, if there's like one puzzle that you recognize, I'm like, oh, I recognize this part. But then that also means that when something's new, I'm like, oh, is this referencing something in the old game? Although what it does do is the Silent Hill 2 remake has a really nice thing that when you're walking around, sometimes there's things that you might remember really fondly or an iconic moment in the original Silent Hill 2. And when you approach them, you just sort of get like the screen sort of gets a little bit staticky, and then the camera pans out a bit as if the game's saying like, oh, we know that you know this place.
You know what this is.
You know what this is. You
That's
remember
cool.
this. But also, if you don't know what it is, you're like, okay, there's like a laundry chute there. This is a cool visual, I guess. So it's kind of nice that they are throwing in those little nods of like, we know, but are you going to, is this going to be the same way that you used it in the original? So, because that's the thing, I don't know. I haven't finished the game, so.
I have one more question, because I haven't played any Silent Hill game, but I did have to, when I first started working on Access, all those years ago, I had to capture a little bit of Silent Hill 2, and this was before anybody knew that I was scared of things, and I had to do, well, I think unless I've remembered this wrong, I had to capture like the first time you see Pyramid Head's in this game, right?
Yes.
And it was, I had no prior knowledge of Pyramid Head. I didn't know
the idea of just oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
No knowledge of what you're about to see.
It'll be funny.
No one knows that you're scared of games at that point.
It'll be funny, Rob, because you'll be able to picture the office, and it was on one of those big TVs, and everyone's just sat around doing their work, and I'm just sat on this big TV playing this terrifying bit that was really scary, and yeah, I had no prior knowledge of Pyramid Head, so I was just like, what is that? And obviously he's got those like kind of like, I don't know how to describe them. There's just bodies around him that are sort of moving around. It's just horrible.
Well, when you first encounter Pyramid Head, it's in the apartment building. So I have done that scene where you first see Pyramid Head and they're literally just stood behind bars that have just been cornered off in the apartment building.
Yeah.
So I have done that. But sorry, what was your question?
I don't know. Like, my question was, have you encountered Pyramid Head, and is it horrible?
So I haven't, had close I wanted to say connection, but I haven't, close contact with Pyramid Head. But I have had the scene where Pyramid Head just stands at the end of a hall, and I should say as well, the radio sounds. Do you remember like your radio starts going like when you're near an enemy?
No, I don't, but I can imagine it.
Yeah, so whenever you're like near a danger, you hear this radio static sound, and that's now coming through the DualSense.
God.
Yeah, so when I had that moment, the DualSense immediately just started freaking out, and the way that the lighting and the visuals worked, like over Pyramid Head there was just like a single red light. And even though I knew this scene was coming, it's still like my heart was racing and my DualSense was racing because the radio was just being like and even that's the thing, even though I knew what was coming and I knew that, I was like, but I remember doing this in the original, and I know Pyramid Head, he's just spookily standing there still slowly approaching him. I think because the remake's done a couple of things differently, I thought, what if I slowly approach him and then he just reaches his hand out, or it doesn't go how I thought it would go in the original. But no, I was very brave, and I approached and I got right up to that fence, and Pyramid Head just stood there, so I got a good look at the character model from what I could so far. So I have done that bit, and it is very atmospheric.
Horrible. What an iconic character. Also, going back to Astro Bot, I loved Pyramid Head Astro Bot. Or Pyramid Head Bot. So good.
When he throws the sword and it just bonks his head.
I think that was... I actually laughed out loud when I saw that one. Like, not just a smile, or I was just like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And it's a character that means nothing to me, but I was just like, that's genius.
It's also reminded me of how my daughter called my dog Pyramid Head for a time.
we got after the character?
No, we got a new dog. We've had her about a year now. Yeah. And when she was a puppy, she had she still has to some degree now, but just quite an angular shaped head.
Right.
And we were like, she's got like a little cone head. That's a bit funny. And Ella, who'd just learnt about shapes in school, tried to display how clever she was.
Yeah.
So actually, it's more like a pyramid, I think. Pyramid head. That's so cute. And I'm just there thinking, you have no idea what you've just said.
No, not cute. Not cute at all.
It's not cute. No,
not nice.
Well, I have never played Silent Hill either. All I played was the demo of the first Silent Hill, which came with my copy of Metal Gear Solid. And I remember being utterly terrified by it.
Yeah.
So maybe now's my time. I'm interested to see what they've done with the fog, because obviously the fog initially was a response to the fact that they had sort of just technical limitations to what they could achieve with draw distance back on PS1. So we'll put in some fog, I guess. Maybe the decision was a bit more thought about than that.
Chuck it in there.
But it's one of those great instances where something brilliant happens out of a creative limitation. And now, obviously, those limitations are far less a thing. So it'd be cool to see, what's the fog like? What's the PS5 fog like?
PS5 fog, yeah.
Dave, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing loads of Astro Bot. We've talked quite a lot about it.
I don't think we can talk any more about Astro Bot.
No, but let me just, because I want to. I've got a couple of trophies left to get at the crash site to get the platinum, and I've just been loving it. We've talked about that. I've been spoilt for games recently, and it's a good opportunity to talk about Plucky Squire for one.
Yay!
Which Rosie and I were looking forward to as soon as it was announced. Over a year ago, I'm sure.
I was too.
That's good. I'm glad. But have you been playing it?
No.
Okay, right. Well, we must have been looking forward to it a little bit more.
Not
yet. And it has delivered. Like it's the first thing you see about the Plucky Squire when you saw a trailer or whatever was obviously that it appears to be this 2D game in a storybook, and already that is very visually pleasing. Like it mixes it up. It's not just side scrolling. They'll do lots of fun things within the book world, but then it's big hook, if you don't know anything about it, is it's set in a storybook, but your character is actually forced to begin with, can leave the book world and is suddenly in the world around the actual book. So it's in a child's bedroom, and you're wandering around their desk, and suddenly this 2D game becomes 3D. That in itself is extremely exciting and a cool concept, and it's really fun to experience in the game. But there's so much more to the game that I hadn't counted on enjoying as well. Like, it's just, first of all, it's quite funny. It's a funny game.
Yeah, it is a funny game.
It's very visually beautiful. I love collecting the artwork and getting to see, as you collect it, you can see it straight away, and it comes with a little bit of blurb from the developers, and it's like concept art usually, and just funny things that, like, for instance, one of the early bits you can get is you have a boxing match with a honey badger, and then you collect a little bit of artwork where originally it was a duck that you were fighting. You just get to see what the duck with like massive arms looked like, and it's just, I find it a really nice peek behind the curtain, and it comes at the right time. Usually I feel like artwork in games, concept art, you usually have to go to a menu at the start of the game to go and look at it. And by that time, I'm not that interested. Whereas I find like this is like a great, like, oh yeah, I'll have a quick look. Yeah. And it doesn't take you out of the experience at all. You just add to the experience because you're like, I'm really interested in seeing how they did this. But anyway, it's got like a mechanic I hadn't accounted for at all, which I really love. Which is the narrator of the book. Sometimes there'll be paragraphs written on the page, and your character has the power to go and knock words out of paragraphs and swap them for other words in other paragraphs. And there's a gameplay reason to do this. So you might have a sentence that's like, the rusty old gate was closed, and then you'll find a paragraph where the word open is in it, and you'll take open from there, you'll stick it in the place of closed in the original paragraph, and the gate will open. So that, first of all, like, it's just a cool puzzle thing, and it's fun. But more than that is that they have accounted for you putting silly words in those places. So I put in like, the rusty old gate was massive, and it just made the gate massive. It changed nothing.
There's
it didn't help me.
There's one for a frog, isn't there?
Yes,
it was
exactly.
Like, and it was just like suddenly big frog.
Yeah, and I just think that's really fun. Like, it's a great puzzle mechanic anyway, but then it's really fun on top of that. So I've been really enjoying the Plucky Squire. I've just I'm now properly in the outside world. To begin with, it kind of it holds your hand for a bit, but now there's like enemies out there and things to collect, lots more things to do out in the kind of 3D world, and I'm really enjoying the story, and it's great. And then the other thing I've been playing, which I just really want to talk about, is Animal Well. Have either of you played Animal Well?
No, but I've heard lots of stories about it.
It's absolutely fantastic, and kind of stupidly, it's another game that I don't think I'll be able to describe well enough, but B, I think is best experienced with very little prior knowledge. Anyway, but it's it's seemingly a kind of 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania, I suppose, where you're a little character in a kind of underground, I suppose maybe it's a well, and it's full of creatures, animals, and
that would make sense.
You're just you don't even know what you're doing there or what you're trying to achieve, and that thread quickly unravels. You find yourself, you collect these tools that give you kind of powers that enable you to unlock more and more and more. And really, I don't want to say too much more than that, apart from to say it's fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. It's one of my games of the year for sure. It's got such a lot of depth, and even when you think you know what's going on and you think you've finished the game, you haven't. There's so much more to figure about it, and it's just such a joy. And if you like, there's no dialogue, there's no writing, it's just vibes. It just tells you everything you need, just purely visually and brilliantly.
Love a good just vibes game.
It's just excellent, and I highly recommend it.
I'm going to slide as well. I've also been playing Balatro then.
Oh,
I was like, if you've got one more slide, I'm going to have my little slide, which is Balatro, and you are right, Dave. It's just as good as you said it is.
Balatro's fantastic.
It is so blooming good.
I'll never stop playing Balatro.
I had my little slide in there. I just had to squeeze it in.
She's always got a Columbo. One more thing. Oh, one more thing.
Do you remember we used to have meetings and I always used to pop up with one more thing?
Yeah,
one more thing. I haven't done that in
One more thing.
ages. I haven't had a one more
What
thing
can
in
I say
ages. What about you, Rob?
I've been playing, and I can't talk too much about this yet, but I've been playing Metaphor Refantasio, however you pronounce that, the new JRPG from Atlas, the studio behind the Persona series. It is... so there's I think there's a demo out right now that covers like the first few hours of the game, so I can talk in and around that. But it is, for anyone who likes Persona, you're going to like this game. It is structurally very similar to Persona in that you have mechanics by where you've got to maintain sort of like your social relationships with your party members, and not just for the sake of it, because they enhance certain combat abilities you have. So in Persona, the coolest thing, or one of many cool things in Persona, is that in battle you get to transform into like these very powerful alter egos that are like an expression of your inner strength, I guess. It comes out and allows you to achieve feats of combat prowess that you otherwise would be unable to do so. And that is present in Metaphor as well. They're called archetypes, and you can level them up and rank them up, and their strength grows as your bonds with your party members grow as well. It's a complete shift in tone from Persona, though, in terms of just this is a fantasy world. This is a fantasy role-playing game. You don't play as you don't play as humans. You play as a series of, there are multiple tribes. They all are humanoid, but some will have horns. Some have like little cute cat ears and a tail. And your protagonist is part of the Eldar tribe, and they are looked down upon because they have no distinguishing features. Like, you don't have horns or a tail. Yeah. Be gone,
How
Eldar
do we describe
child.
you?
So that's sort of like where you and the thrust of the story is you are part of the resistance that is entrusted with the protection of this prince who's the heir to a kingdom. The king is being killed. There's an evil man who wants to take the throne. The prince has a curse put on him, and that forms sort of like in Persona you have constant events that are happening on your calendar, and you have to manage your time and achieve certain things by certain dates, otherwise it's bad. So this is like an overarching thing sort of looming over everything, the date where the prince's curse turns really bad. But yeah, if you've played Persona and you've done all of the social management with your party, you've done all the time management, you've done dipping into dungeons, coming out, there's I'm only 10 hours in, and with a Persona game you can get like 25 hours in and still feel like you're learning things about the game, and I still feel very much that I'm in that learning phase. But when it gets down to it, when you're in a dungeon and you're zipping through combat, there's like a slickness to it and a smoothness to it that is unlike, I mean, you traditionally, if you haven't played a turn-based JRPG, you might be forgiven for thinking of JRPGs as being quite slow and ponderous and I've got to grind through this. And Metaphor is not like that. It is fast. In fact, the fastest thing it does is combat. There's a lot of exposition early on, a lot of very, very cool anime cutscenes that are honestly genuinely brilliant. Like, I could watch this as an anime very happily. When it gets down to the combat, though, you're just zipping through. It has this really cool mechanic whereby if you are a higher level, significantly higher level than the enemies in a dungeon, they will sort of glow blue, and you can hit them in real time, and they will just be killed, and you'll get the experience for them without having to go through the rigmarole of going into the turn-based battle screen. The option's there. You can press triangle to do the squad battle, and it will shift into the traditional turn-based battle screen. But you don't have to do it. And
I like that.
And it's sort of it streamlines that process of grinding. So if you're going back into a dungeon to grind for EXP or grind for items, whatever it is, and there's a bunch of enemies in there that you're going to be killing in 2 turns without taking any damage every time, you can just chop them down where they stand.
Infinite Wealth did that as well, and it's so handy. Just seeing that, and you literally in Infinite Wealth you just press L2 and they literally just do a little scene where they just go bam, bam, boom, and then they're gone. That's it.
I like a game that it respects my time. It's very nice. But the combat itself is so stylish, and if you play Persona, you won't need me to tell you this, but Atlus are very good at making things look cool. It's got probably the coolest looking main menu I've seen in a long time. My
It's
God.
a stunning main
It's
menu.
so good. The EXP screen at the end of a fight is amazing, just the way it just shifts onto the screen. And if you manage to get through a battle without being touched or taking any damage, you get like a little EXP bonus, and the animation flourish when you get that is incredibly pleasing. Just transitioning from one screen to another, there's like you just get a really cool graphic of your character going. It's hard to describe.
They're like
Just gotta see
walking,
it.
aren't they? They're just walking in their silhouettes of just
Well, it's
people around.
like a white silhouette of your character running into the next area. But it's not just a fade to black. Everything is extra. Everything looks cool all the time. Walking around the world, it's like you're walking around a manga.
Right.
Like little text bubbles of NPC dialogue popping up. It just looks brilliant. Everything has been painstakingly thought of in terms of how do we make this game look cool. It's a very unique game, and it's interesting playing a fantasy role-playing game with that Persona structure, because so much of the charm of Persona, I think, is bound up in that high school setting and living the fantasy of being, everyone when they're a kid has dreamed of like, giving my teachers what for, sticking it to the man and being like a part of like a cool rebel gang of high school kids that goes out and has these adventures outside of school. In Persona turns it into like a supernatural sort of adventure. So it's really interesting doing like a different version of that, doing like a fantasy version of that. And I've no doubt there are tens, if not hundreds of hours left for me to play. So
that's it. I remember
it's early days for me.
Even when we did the preview event and they said, you're going to be playing it for 2 hours, which, if you know our games, that's not anything at all. And it was so true. Like, by the time we finished it, I was like, I want more. I'm hungry for more now. So I'm very excited to like delve into it as well.
Yeah, lots of exciting games coming out. I've not even been able to touch Broken Sword yet. I've got it downloaded on my PS5.
Yes.
Me too. I'm so excited.
That's going to be a time.
That's going to be so good. I'm so excited.
We should move on to what we've all been looking forward to.
I've been fearing it a little bit.
It's quiz time.
The surprise quiz!
It's surprise quiz time. Secret Boss has cooked this one up. It's a Secret Boss special. So in honour of Silent Hill 2 releasing, there are 7 games, all that have locations in their title.
Okay.
So Silent Hill 2 is a place.
Yeah.
So this location can be a real-life location, or it could be a fictional location.
Yeah.
But the key thing to remember is you're looking for a title of a game that has a location in its title.
Got you.
And as has become the classic format, I have 4 clues that I will read out to you that get gradually less obscure as I read them out.
Are Rosie and I working together, or are we?
You're against each other.
Oh dear. Okay.
Good luck, Dave.
So to you, Rosie.
If you correctly shout out the name of the game, you get the point.
Okay.
If you shout out the name of the game and you are incorrect, you are then frozen out until the other person has had a chance to take a swipe.
All right.
Take a guess.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. First one. You're after just the title of the game, remember?
Yep.
The first clue is well-stacked pizza.
That really... These clues are always so good. I'm always like, I know, well-stacked pizza.
I'm going on to the second clue. Here we go. Big smoke.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Correct, Rosie! Correct.
Well played.
Well-stacked pizza is a fast food outlet in GTA San Andreas.
Oh, okay. I was thinking I was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I just couldn't stop thinking about Overcooked. I was just like,
So it's 1-0 to Rosie. There are 7, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2. Flaming fists.
Stop thinking Tekken.
Literally, I know I was thinking of one, but I was like, that's not a place location.
What Secret Boss is like. He'll have given you a little something to make you think on the wrong lines.
On the wrong lines, yeah.
Here comes the second clue. House of Grief. I would not get this one.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Ow. No, can't do it.
Third clue. Elf Song Tavern.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Correct, Dave. He's got it. He's got it. Wow.
Woo!
Oh, slight bit of
So the title can
intuition there.
just be Baldur's Gate.
Well, Baldur's Gate is a
It's
place.
Oh, is it? Like an actual place?
Yes, it's a place in the game.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
1-1.
1-1.
1-1 with 5 to go. The first clue for this one is Caesar.
Oh.
Oh.
This is hard.
Okay.
Second clue is desert.
Oh.
Oh.
No. No.
No one wants to be brave. Yeah. The third clue, gambling.
Oh, Rainbow Six, Las Vegas.
Incorrect, Dave.
Oh my gosh. Desert, gambling, and seizure.
I'll give you the last clue, Rosie, because Dave can't answer until you've answered again.
Oh.
Radiation.
Oh, what? Fallout? Fallout New Vegas.
Interesting.
I feel like you've cheated slightly there,
Like, is
Rosie.
Fallout the name of the place?
I was about to say incorrect after you said Fallout 4.
Okay, say incorrect and I can jump back in.
What, but you're both open.
Then it's a
I'm not
one-on-one
sure we
match.
can do it.
Then it's whoever says it first.
I'm going to give you the point, Rosie. It's 2-1.
Yay, I didn't know Fallout was the name of the location. I was like, if they just called the town Fallout, I wasn't sure. And then I was like, wow, no, there's an actual place.
You got there. You just need to do your thinking in your head, Rosie, sometimes.
Many people have told me that.
Okay, it's 2-1 to Rosie. Here's number 4. The first clue is bandits. Second clue, mountain. There's a lot of dead air, isn't there?
I've got an idea.
The third clue, you have to be quick now. The third clue, sweet roll.
Skyrim.
Correct, Rosie.
Whoa,
I would have said
close.
The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, but
I know, that's why I took
Not
a
bad.
risk. I heard you, and I was like, Skyrim.
I'd prepared myself to say Ghost of Yōtei.
See, I was thinking Ghost of Tsushima. I was like, maybe.
It's 3-1 to Rosie, which means, Dave, you need all 3 of these final ones to win.
No worries. If after the controversy of Fallout New Vegas, it's fine. It's
To
fine.
be fair, it was very generous giving me that one. I wasn't expecting
that.
that.
One did go to VAR.
It's fine. Yes.
VAR ruled that there was no offside. Okay, here we go. The first clue for game number 5. Strange.
Try not to do dead air. Oh.
The second clue. I hope no one just randomly places the playhead on this podcast during one of the thinking bits. They haven't uploaded the audio for this, idiots. Okay, second clue. Courthouse.
Courthouse.
The third clue is nighttime.
Oh, that's thrown me off.
Strange. Courthouse. Nighttime.
Oh, wait. Batman Arkham City.
It's correct.
Oh my gosh, well done.
3-2. 3-2.
Needed
Well
that
done,
one.
Dave.
Needed that
Rosie, you just need one more to win.
I don't remember a courthouse in Batman. In Batman.
Bartman.
Batman.
Do the Bartman.
I was thinking that just like, when was I? It's been so long since I've played that game.
I'm Bartman. Tell all your friends about me. Okay, game number 6. This is a strange clue. Here we go. Licking.
Cool.
Licking. No, nothing coming to mind.
I've thought of games that involve licking, but none of them are location names.
Okay.
Second clue.
I'm going to need to hear what they are in a minute.
Second clue. Crime scene.
I'm glad you've got an idea.
No, I don't have an idea. I was zoning in.
Third clue. Robot.
Oh, that's funny. That's yeah. Wait. Hang on. Let my mind work.
Licking crime scene.
Robot. And here comes the final clue.
Oh, Detroit Become Human.
It's correct.
Hey!
Thank God.
Well done.
Thank God.
I've just got in brackets here, licking, in brackets, Connor licks stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
He does, yeah. I think he's got sensors in his
Was
tongue.
there like a blue? There was when he picked up some blood, wasn't it?
Possibly like to test for DNA or something like that.
Possibly that. But oh my gosh,
What licking games were you thinking of?
I was thinking of Resident Evil 2 with the lickers, and then
Great shout.
Goat Simulator.
Okay.
Because you got to lick everything.
Both very good examples of licking in
But then I was
games.
like,
Yeah.
Resident
Very
Evil 2.
tongue-centric game.
Yeah, very licking centric.
Yeah.
Right,
fair play.
It's 3-3 and it's the last one. I don't think I'd get this one, even after all 4 clues. So good luck.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. First clue. 3 trials.
Trials. Trials 3.
Trials of 3.
The second clue. Insults.
Insults.
The Secret of Monkey Island.
It's correct!
Yes! Monkey Island!
Wow, Rosie's done
Fair
it.
play.
Rosie's done it.
Gotta be. Yeah, I take my hat off to that.
Thank you.
You nailed that one.
Climactic finish. 4-3 to Rosie.
Whoop whoop!
Yeah.
Aw, even though I don't think I deserve the Fallout one, but I appreciate the generosity.
No, I think you did. You just said your thought process.
Yes, exactly.
And you did land on the correct answer.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, well, I said my thought process when I said Rainbow Six, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
If the correct name had come immediately after. Also, Rosie's was, it was more correct than Rainbow Six, what she said. Anyway, it's 4-3. 4-3.
Hey, that was fun.
There are lots of exciting games now and in the future.
Yes, busy times
Games. Video games.
I know. I think we say this every time. Just how many games there are and how many we're looking forward to and how many good ones have just come out. It just keeps on trucking.
Already, it's mad to me how we were all like, we had that little bit of a breather in summer and it was like, oh, September, October time's going to get busy. And now already it's like, oh, February's going to get busy next year. Like already we're in the next stage.
Keeps on rolling.
They keep on chugging.
It does. Very exciting times. Let us know which games you are playing right now or which games you are particularly looking forward to in the comments on social media, wherever you're listening to this podcast, and join us again in 2 weeks' time for another episode of the PlayStation Access podcast. We'll see you then.